Today is Friday, October 3rd. We'll tell you where President Trump is promising to make permanent cuts during his government shutdown. Also, we're talking about a new notice telling Congress the U.S. is at war with drug cartels, and backlash over a new abortion pill that just got the FDA's approval. Plus, the latest records broken on Wall Street, the reason many conservatives are quitting Netflix, and the frenzy over Taylor Swift's newest album that came out overnight. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to the Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. It's looking likely the federal government shutdown lasts at least into next week. The Senate is set to vote again today on a Republican-backed short-term funding bill. But since it does not include the healthcare subsidies Democrats have demanded, the vote is expected to fail. And senators say they don't expect to be in session this weekend. With that, the Trump administration says thousands of government layoffs could start being announced today. Already, millions of federal workers are not getting paid. But Trump has also promised to cut jobs that won't come back, even once the shutdown is over. Plus, the president says he's looking into which Democrat agencies to cut. It's believed he's referencing entities like the Education Department and Environmental Protection Agency that his administration has been promising to downsize already. Though officially, the White House just says he's looking at agencies that don't align with the administration's values. Since the government shut down earlier this week, the White House has already frozen federal transit and green energy funding for Democratic-leaning states. And on social media, Trump wrote, quote, "I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity." Many Democrats say he's using federal workers like pawns when they believe he would have fired them anyway, shutdown or not. But Republican leaders like House Speaker Mike Johnson say the Trump administration can prioritize funding as it sees fit. In the meantime, government work that's considered necessary to national security and defense will continue. Social Security payments will still go out and mail will continue to be delivered. Well, the U.S. is formally engaged in an armed conflict with drug cartels. That's according to a confidential notice President Trump sent Congress this week and was later shared with news outlets. U.S. senators from both sides of the aisle have been asking the Trump administration to explain recent strikes targeting 3 alleged Latin American drug boats in the Caribbean. And now the latest notice could answer some of their legal questions about those past strikes and possibly future ones. As international law defines an armed conflict, it lets a country legally kill enemy fighters even when they pose no threat, detain them indefinitely without trials, and prosecute them in military courts. Some critics say they aren't convinced selling dangerous drugs constitutes as an armed attack, which is the legal standard for when there is an armed conflict. But the Trump administration says it does, and has called the strikes self-defense, keeping cartels from murdering more Americans with drugs. Now, President Trump says he's considering expanding the military action, so it could include strikes on drug cartels inside Venezuela, not just international waters. To be continued. On the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, a synagogue was targeted in an attack in northwest England. Authorities say a man rammed his car into people outside as they were gathering for Yom Kippur services yesterday. Then he stabbed them. 2 people were killed and 3 others were seriously hurt. Police say they shot and killed the suspect minutes after the attack started, and that the situation could have been much worse if not for security staff and worshipers who helped stop the man from getting into the building. Now, that attack has been formally labeled as an act of terrorism. The suspect is of Syrian descent, but he's been living in the UK since he was a young child. So far, no word on a motive. It comes in the face of rising anti-Semitism in the UK and other parts of the world. So the British Prime Minister says synagogues across the country will start getting more security, and the investigation continues. Back in the U.S., a Michigan community is still working to heal from an attack on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, often called the Mormon Church. Remember, a gunman attacked a Michigan chapel on Sunday, murdering 4 people and hurting 8 others before being shot and killed by police. And now members of the church have donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to the shooter's family. A fundraiser on the crowdfunding site GiveSendGo has brought in more than $300,000 so far. The man who started the fundraiser says he's Mormon, and as he explains it, religion taught him that, quote, "we should love our enemies and we should mourn with those that mourn." Now, many members of the church are not only donating, but also offering prayers for the shooter's family. The suspect's sister told the Detroit Free Press she and the rest of her family are deeply moved by a church that's, quote, "so forgiving and understanding and caring." There are also several online fundraisers meant to help the victims of the attack. Those have raised tens of thousands of dollars so far. Even with the federal government shut down, Wall Street is breaking records. All three major indexes marked record highs yesterday, with the technology sector leading the way. Investors are also watching labor market data for signs of what the Federal Reserve is going to do with interest rates later this month. But because of the shutdown, the usual official government data is not available, meaning investors are now getting their information from other sources. And corporate announcements are the main drivers of trading yesterday. For example, those from OpenAI. The artificial intelligence leader announced partnerships for a project to build more AI infrastructure, and that helps to send ripples throughout the tech world, with chip makers like NVIDIA and Broadcom seeing some of the strongest gains. OpenAI is not a publicly traded company, so it doesn't actually have a stock market ticker. But this week, the company overtook SpaceX to become the world's largest startup with a total valuation of $500 billion. Now, OpenAI is in negotiations with Microsoft to convert into a more traditional for-profit company. So stay tuned. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, a break for our sponsor. Did you know your liver is the second largest organ in your body, and it's responsible for over 500 functions? Yet most of us don't give it the attention it deserves. I recently found Dose for Your Liver, and it's such an easy way to support something so important. Their formula was created to help cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid digestion, and keep your body's filter functioning the way it should. What stood out to me is how simple it is. One shot of Dose is equivalent to 17 shots of turmeric juice. It's dairy-free, sugar-free, and vegan. And my husband and I were surprised by how much we enjoyed the taste. We both want to take it now. It's a daily habit that feels like a treat, and we love knowing we're taking care of our livers at the same time. And in a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, Dose for Your Liver lowered liver enzyme levels by 50% in over 86% of participants. And right now, you can save 25% on your first month of subscription by going to dosedaily.co/newsworthy or entering Newsworthy at checkout. That's dosedaily, DOSEDAILY.co/newsworthy for 25% off your first month subscription. Now back to the news. Soccer fans from around the world are starting to make plans to come to the United States for the 2026 World Cup. The first people to buy tickets through FIFA's ticketing process did so this week, even though all the teams have not been announced yet. The schedule of matches also has not been finalized, meaning it's not clear exactly where in North America each game is going to be. Fans just know games are happening in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. And for the games happening in the U.S., many fans have concerns about getting visas as the government cracks down on immigration. The Trump administration says anyone who needs a visa to go to the tournament should start applying now. The U.S. is also increasing staffing at certain U.S. embassies and consulates around the world to accommodate the extra applications. The people buying tickets now won their chance to do so through a lottery last month that 4.5 million people applied for. FIFA's president says the interest proves that even in divided times, soccer truly unites people all over the world. The FDA has approved another generic abortion pill. It's a lower-cost version of mifepristone that's been approved for about 25 years. And just like the original, this one is approved for women to take during the first 10 weeks of pregnancy to end it. The decision has been drawing outrage from anti-abortion groups and some conservative lawmakers, since they've already been pushing for new limits on the pill being allowed in any form. But the FDA defended itself, saying just because it approved this drug does not mean it actually endorses it. The process just involves regulators making sure the copycat version matches the original drug. The FDA is still studying the safety effects of the original, though it has repeatedly been deemed safe and effective by FDA scientists already. For now, the new version of the abortion drug is expected to launch in January of next year. Federal investigators are trying to figure out how two planes collided this week. The collision involved two Delta regional jets on the taxiway at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Video on social media shows a plane moving quickly when the crash happened. One of the plane's wings slammed into another's cockpit window. A flight attendant had to be taken to the hospital, but everyone else was reportedly okay. Now Delta says it's fully cooperating with the investigation. There's now a growing campaign for people to cancel Netflix. It's all over a series called Dead End Paranormal Park that was actually canceled in 2023 after 2 seasons. More recently, it was flagged by the conservative account Libs of TikTok, which pointed out how one of the cartoon characters is transgender. Even billionaire Elon Musk responded, writing, "This is not okay." And he encouraged his followers to cancel their subscriptions too, accusing Netflix of carrying out a, quote, transgender woke agenda. Then the backlash grew louder when it came out that the show's creator called conservative activist Charlie Kirk a Nazi after his death. As of this morning, that tweet is no longer visible. But screenshots are still circulating and subscriptions are being canceled. Some are even calling this Netflix's Bud Light moment, referring to when people boycotted the beer company over an ad campaign with a transgender influencer. But some analysts say they don't expect this to make too big of a difference for Netflix. So far, no comment from the streaming giant. The world's biggest pop star has officially entered a new era. Taylor Swift's 12th album, The Life of a Showgirl, came out overnight. She's calling it a look behind the curtain and a self-portrait of what her life was like during her record-breaking Eras tour. Even before it was released, the album was making big waves. Lyrics were revealed in hidden messages on Apple Music. Spotify also released some lyrics at its immersive pop-up experience in New York and on billboards around the world. Spotify says The Life of a Showgirl had become the first album in history to exceed 5 million pre-saves. Fans also plan to flock to movie theaters this weekend for the album's official release party, complete with a new music video and behind-the-scenes footage. Based on advanced ticket sales, it's expected to rake in about $40 million, and it's only in theaters this weekend. But after that, you'll be able to catch it on YouTube. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a break to thank our sponsor. It's so easy to become the person buying $6 lattes and cold brews at the coffee shop every day, and it adds up. Now with Trade, my husband and I get the same coffeehouse experience at home for a fraction of the price. And we honestly love our experience with Trade. From the moment I opened the bag that was conveniently delivered to my door, by the way, the aroma, the freshness, the flavor makes coffee fun and enjoyable. And since we drink coffee every day, having some variety that I don't have to think about has been amazing. It's introduced us to roasters we never would have found at the grocery store. And it's such a great value. Trade's prices are similar to grocery store brands, and yet the quality is always next level. And I love knowing that every cup supports small local roasters. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S. They partner with over 50 local roasters across the country to source the best beans, roasted to order and delivered right to your door. No more lines, no more $6 drinks, just delicious coffee exactly how we like it at home. Right now, Trade is offering 50% off a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/newsworthy. That's drinktrade.com/newsworthy to get 50% off 1 month. drinktrade.com/newsworthy. Now back to Feel Good Friday. Volunteers all around the world have been able to prove what's old can become new again. Organizers created Repair Cafe to encourage people to fix broken items instead of buying new. At their pop-up shops, people can bring in almost anything in need of a fix. Volunteers have been able to repair laptops, coffee makers, record players, vacuums, furniture, bicycles, toys, clothing, and a lot more. And it's all done for free. Specialists help people make the repairs and help teach people who want to learn how. Organizers say it's all about creating a sustainable future and having some fun along the way. Repair Cafe started years ago in Amsterdam, but there are now thousands of Repair Cafe pop-ups planned all around the world, including hundreds here in the U.S. To find one near you, volunteer, or start one yourself, we've added a link in today's episode notes on thenewsworthy.com. Thank you so much for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode. Then we'll be back on Monday with the latest news to know. For now, have a great weekend.